how porn negatively impacts your brain, relationships, and how to quit. So, what is porn? Essentially, it is a clown activity that involves escaping reality. And people may do this for a variety of reasons. It really depends on the situation. But ultimately, today we're going to get into why this may not be a good idea and how to transition out of that. Now, real talk, I used to watch it from 12 to 18. And as I continuously worked on my personal development and improving my own life, my own story, like I was adding all these positive things to my own life, right? And eventually, it's like you keep pouring water, right, over this muddy spot, right? And eventually, all the impurities are gonna get cleaned out. So I just kept adding positive things to my life, and it was so clear to me that this thing is no longer fitting the picture of the life that I want to create. So right then and there, I made a decision and never looked back. When you look at the Latin word decision, de means of, side means to cut. So we're essentially cutting off any other possibility. Come with me, we're going to the promised land. That's the attitude you gotta have, and it doesn't just apply to this. Now I said 12 years old, which is very young, but the problem is that the average person is actually starting about 10 years old today. 10 years old. What do you think this is doing to their minds? So as soon as you turn it on, the reward centers get turned on in the brain. The reward system consists of the ventral striatum and the orbital frontal cortex. Dopamine is secreted in these areas of the brain. Dopamine is responsible for seeking, motivation, and pleasure. This is also the reason why people get addicted. These areas light up in any pleasure-inducing activity, including music, candy, and drugs. These areas of the brain increasingly get stimulated in response to viewing porn. Your brain creates deeper circuits for the pleasure of viewing this. These are the same reward pathways that get desensitized through repeated exposure. This means you need increasing exposure or more variety to get the same pleasure hit that you once did. The part of the brain called the amygdala is responsible for emotions and survival. It's also drastically affected. What happens is when the amygdala is hyperactive, it seeks rewards. This means that the reward pathways had a greater response to sexual stimulus. So how does porn affect our relationships? For one, it can significantly impact how you view your partner. It creates a scenario where you're much more likely to cheat on your partner, even if you're not in a relationship. Many men fantasize a porn scenario while they're having sex with their partner, bringing them out of the present moment. Also, you may feel awkward around women because it teaches you to objectify the opposite sex and not actually see them as a person. So how to quit porn? First of all, why do you want to do this in the first place? Like, I hear a lot of people justify their habits, right? Whatever it is, like, with this one, they say it's healthy. It's healthy to watch it. I'm like, are you serious? Bro, you know it's not healthy. But the issue is that we don't see something greater than our current circumstances. We don't realize that by waking up every day, becoming the greatest versions of us, there's a life so much better that we can contemplate that we're not living. But the thing is that we have to cross the river. We have to sacrifice who we are for what we could become. We must be willing to get rid of our old habits and tendencies to move to the next level. At the end of the day, you can draw an analogy between porn and sex and real food and processed food. Keep in mind that porn is not even real. These are paid actors and they create scenarios to make you addicted. Just like the processed food industry. We have scientists that work extremely hard at working to make you addicted to the product. Use something called a gas chromatograph. And this is designed to basically stimulate the pleasure centers just enough, making the food hyper craveable. There's also something called vanishing caloric density, which is basically how you're eating a lot of calories, but there's no nutrients in those calories. So your body is kind of working to get more and more food. It's not actually getting the nutrition that it needs. It's kind of the same thing, like you keep having to stimulate your brain with this activity. You're not actually getting anything real. You're not satiated, if that makes sense. Not to mention this is the most powerful force that you can possibly harness. Your life force, your chi. You're wasting it on women that you don't even know, and they don't even know that you exist. You could be using this chi for your dreams and your goals. And when you do that, you actually attract somebody who's real. Lastly, I wanted to mention something called beta male hypothesis. Now this is like, when you're watching porn, there's something going on subconsciously that says, oh, this guy pretty much have these females handled. So you don't have to do anything. It kind of develops a sloth mentality. We don't even realize it. So how do we actually stop? Well, first step is to stop all artificial sex stimulation. Whether it's porn, whether it's magazines, and soft porn as well. So going on Instagram and just basically lusting over women. I'm talking about this from a guy's perspective. Like, women watch this as well, not nearly as much, but you can apply this to you however you see fit. Over time, your brain will balance out to normal stimulus levels and in turn have a much more balanced life. Like, porn is a symptom of what's going on internally. Look, there are casual users out there, of course. My question is, like, why would we have this in our life at all? I don't understand. Like, I want to live free of hindrances. And if something like challenging really happens in your life, you're probably going to turn to this even more. You're probably going to hit it even harder. But if you have a clean mind and a heavy hustle, you're going to break through obstacles much more quickly. So cleaning the mind of all vices, relying on more stoic practices, breathwork, meditation, cold shower, exercise, sauna, fasting, all the shit that we talk about here. This will allow you to live a much more virtuous life. At the end of the day, that's what we're here for. There is a subset of the porn viewers that actually have really bad. Like, they get into some addictions that are just like, you just don't want to hear about. Like, children and animals. Like, I've read a lot of books on this and you just want to hear it. Ultimately, you must get to the emotional root cause if we're going to heal. This doesn't just go with this, it goes with anything. Whatever the vice is, whatever the past trauma is, we must get to that root. And on the other side of that is true freedom. You can read the stories, listen to stories of people who have done what you want to do and have been where you are. This can give you inspiration to know that they can do it, so can you. Getting to the other side of that thing. No retreat, no surrender. When you stop anything, you're going to want to replace it with something of greater or equal value so that your brain stays on point. If you just take the negative habit away, you don't add anything in, it's probably not going to work. So adding in positive habits that positively impact your life and the people around you as well. Any activity that restores brain chemistry, like walking, nature, social activity, like, the problem is that these addictions, they take the joy out of everyday life. Like, you're no longer able to see or have a sense of awe in nature, which is really sad if you think about it, because your brain is just so, it needs this one particular activity, which is actually draining you of energy, not giving you anything back. And we don't actually see that until we get to the other side of it, unfortunately. So some other tips, you can install porn blocking software, which can help you, like, kind of just not go near it at all. An extra barrier there. Get rid of all your accounts, get rid of all your DVDs, whatever it is. Actually, an excellent resource called Your Brain on porn.com. This is a site that is designed to show you all the tools and ways you can actually heal from this. It's a great resource to go to that. Do whatever you have to do to train your neural association. Get a new fucking laptop. Forgive yourself of your past mistakes and move forward. That's what it's about. Because you can be a light and help other people get out of that situation. So I'd like to end with talking about foundational principles of healthy mind. Number one is to boss up. Taking 100% responsibility for our own lives. Having agency over our own minds, our own hearts, and our own spirits. This will allow you to forge the character that is needed for the life that you want to live. Essentially, going forth, creating the life, requires a sense of internal fortitude. Knowing what you want, who you are, what you stand for. We don't invest in clown energy or clown activities. We stay free. The boss gains wisdom from his own experience and turns around and helps others with it. Freedom on the mind. Growth and service in the heart. Wake up every day with sincerity and earnestness toward a better future. One without rules or limitations. Number two is freedom. Freedom is inherent in all things. It can never truly be taken away because no one ever gave it to us in the first place. It's a God-given thing. Sure, you can shut things down and seemingly take things away. But a choice is always present. And you know this when you're a boss because you don't look for validation from the outside. You look internally. You don't look for permission. You stay guided by light, truth, and principles. You no longer live by your feelings, but you live by the truth. And the truth, as you all know, will set you free. The question is, are we really living that? It's not just a cute saying. Are we actually getting to the truth? Free yourself of all doubts and limitations. You're not designed for that. You've been given a spirit of freedom and not fear. Design your own life. Create change. And become a model. Becoming a model is about embodying who you are, which is greatness. Becoming a mirror for others' own potential. As you become a light, you have permission for others to do the same. Stop playing small. I'll say it again. You're designed for greatness. Number 3 here is discipline. Discipline equals freedom. Because going back to that, it's not just about doing whatever it is that you want to. You can, but at the end of the day, what are your results going to be? Of course, you can live by your impulses. You can play out your past trauma and pain for the rest of your life. That is your choice. But I'm guessing you don't want that. So in order to live the life that we're here to live, life of abundance and virtue, we need to implement certain practices, habits, and mindsets in order to get there. Shit does not just happen. You become qualified to live the life that you live through challenges, through overcoming them, and forging your character. When you embody truth, how can you have fear? It's about knowing fear, K-N-O-W. Not about having it at all, because courage requires fear. But we understand our own habits, our own mindsets, and our own tendencies. That's how we overcome it, because we tend to fear we don't understand. So fear is not a virtue. Because a lot of people these days are kind of propagating victimhood as a strength, which is fucking ridiculous. We're essentially living how people think we should live, living by these cookie cutter set of rules, and we don't even have the awareness to see that we're not getting the results that we want. Look, y'all, this is why God gave you a middle finger. Flex it in the face of adversity. When we are disciplined, we say we no longer want that. I'm no longer going to accept that. This is my life. What you say yes to, what you say no to, having boundaries, standards, values, things that are required to live a life of strength and virtue. Having a disciplined mind requires that you go within and start living life from the inside out rather than the outside in. And eventually, the inner world is going to create the outer world. It's not that things changed, it's that you changed and you enforced it by going within. Number 4 is abundance. Now, abundance is a virtue. Essentially, operating out of a place that there's enough, even if you have very little. Having an altruistic mindset, looking out for life as a whole, wanting to see people win, wanting to see people get out of their place that is negative and killing them, wanting to see more light. And this mindset allows you to stop complaining, gossiping, and all that. Because you realize we cannot create a life of abundance with scarcity type of energy. Negativity, complaining, all that's got to go. Examine your life. Anywhere that you see a form of lack internally, so your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, that's where you start. Start living from a life of abundance, about resourcefulness. You don't need anything else. Just focus on those things. And as I said before, your outer world is going to be generated from your inner world. So become rich in your own thoughts, how you feel, by taking the required actions. You see, the Matrix wants you broke, unhealthy, and unhappy. The only way out is to win within. You can start one day, or you can make it day one. The choice is yours, my friend. Lastly, I'm talking about the principle of self-mastery. Now, this is the concept of optimizing everything that you do. I remember hearing something from the Peaceful Warrior. He's talking about, yeah, you train in martial arts. Like, this is the mentor talking. You practice martial arts. I practice everything. That's the difference. Being aware of your responses and how you respond to things. Yeah, it seems like a lot of work. Well, guess what? It's your fucking life. You only get one. So you may as well be the greatest version of you. I'm coming from a place of hardship. I've told my story. I've been in pain for years and years, physically debilitated, having no way out seemingly. Everything around me looked like I could not get out of the situation. Character forged through hellfire, which gave me the capabilities to now do what I'm doing. I don't take that lightly. I honor the craft. I have a devotion to excellence every single day. I live with raw possibility because I know what it's like not to have it. Possibility is what inspires me. Possibility for a better future. Why would I walk around like I'm not the one? God has given me a life. I'll be damned if I don't make the most of it. I'll be damned if I don't go all out and all in. Mastering who I am. Character. Health, wealth, relationships. Everything. Because what's the alternative? Average, mediocrity. Look, we see the results of that. Most people are broke, unhealthy, and unhappy. That's the average person, unfortunately. And part of the reason why I do what I do is because I'm going to flip those ratios with the team. We will no longer live in a world where average, not knowing who you are, not even knowing where you're going, your goals, your dreams, all that will no longer be the norm. I am here to usher in a new age of freedom, one without rules, limitations. And as we usher in a new age of freedom, play with all of our hearts and all of our souls, we then outpour that into the world. This gives you a sense of confidence that you're designed to have. Walking around like you're the one, not without challenges, not without obstacles and tribulations. Because those are the things that got you there in the first place. Living in the now. Because the past, when it happened in the now. When the future is going to happen, it'll happen in the now. So that's all we got. Own this moment. Take everything that you got, max out, living moment to moment, not getting stuck in the past or future. The way of the king is to stay free of any hindrance. Wake up. Also, may as well have a damn good time while we do it. It's supposed to be fun. Living on purpose, your path. It's supposed to be joy, enlightening, all of it. To live fully, you must be willing to go all out. See, life and death are intertwined. What you know about waking up every day willing to die for a mission, because you won't accept anything less. Put all your chips in like a G.